big news at Bradford City this week. We'll start with Lee's contract extension. Just your reaction to that, please.
Yeah, we're very pleased. Since coming in, been really impressed with what he's produced. Initially, obviously, he was injured, so we didn't really know a lot about Lee. Hadn't seen a great deal of him playing prior to coming, but as soon as we got him up to speed and started introducing him, albeit quite conservatively, I thought that was important for him. And yeah, he's just got stronger every day. He's been training for a long time now, and yeah, we're really, really happy. I think the key from Lee's point of view is that he knows that we'll look after him in terms of understanding him and his requirements in terms of his fitness, because clearly he has had problems in the past, but maybe that was a little bit of mismanagement on occasions throughout his career. So we'd like to think we'll be good in that area for him, and I think he can see the potential of the club and where we want to go next year. So he wants to be part of that. So that's encouraging for everybody.
Yeah, you mentioned about over the course of this season, and it's always for all the wrong reasons, he's built up that rapport with the medical staff. It's with a player like Lee, it's key to having that support network around him.
Yeah, it's clear that he feels very comfortable with the guys in the medical department. He's spent a lot of time with them, obviously, but those relationships are key. You garner trust between each other, and that's important because I think Lee obviously understands that I have a close communication with the medical department, and I get fed back what's appropriate in terms of his workload, and all the other guys' workload. We don't want to expose them to risk. It's about making sure every Saturday I've got a fine and full complement of players to choose from. So that's about managing the group correctly. What's
impressed you about Lee then since he's come back into the fold, and even before when you first came in?
Technically he's a very good player. I think everybody acknowledges that. The injuries he's had has hampered him in terms of his progression. Arguably he's a higher level player than League Two, but in terms of his technical ability, but obviously sometimes circumstances dictate you don't make that leap that your talent deserves. But we feel the next 18 months or so will be important for him, and ideally, obviously next year is when he's going to really make an impact for us.
Yeah, he was telling us he's looking at 30 goals next season. That's probably something you want to hear.
Good. I'm pleased about that.
In terms of, and I know it comes up every week, we've obviously had Lee's news as well, other contracts on the table. Can we expect any more?
Yeah, we'll filter them out. As always, these deals, they're never cut and dry. There's always some kind of negotiation. So ones that you expect to be completed quite quickly sometimes can seem to take forever, and others that you think might be of more difficulty, you surprise yourself and actually they're quite straightforward. So you can't really put a time scale on these negotiations. When they're ready to be done, they get done, and that's when we announce.
The other news at the start of the week, Stephen Gent coming in. Just what's your reaction to that, and what will he bring to the role at Bradford City?
Well, I said at the time we're really pleased he's here. He's got a real understanding of the role itself. He's been in and around the recruitment department at Middlesbrough, and obviously had different roles within the recruitment department. That's obviously exposed him to almost every element of it and what's required, and that knowledge obviously we were impressed with, and he sees it very much as a promotion and an opportunity for him to further his career, and he's really excited by it, and we're really pleased that we've got somebody of his ilk and his stature in terms of his knowledge at this level and levels throughout the pyramid. That's going to be invaluable for us.
And in terms of conversations with Stephen, I'm guessing they've already taken place maybe this week. Is it just a case over the next few weeks as the football finishes? Just
I've said before that we'd obviously done a lot of work anyway, because we wanted to hit the ground running. So that work obviously will align with what Stephen brings as well. So I think we're very pleased with where we are at the moment in terms of where we are We all think we're a bit ahead of the game in terms of where we thought we would be at this point, so that's good. And now it's about getting the right people to the club to enable us to be successful next year.
I was going to say, you alluded on it there, is it reassuring that that kind of side of the deal is already over the line and we haven't even finished the season yet?
Yeah, I mean there's value in getting everything done quickly, but that's not always the case. And yeah, ideally you would want the group that you're going to work with at the beginning of pre-season, but you don't just close opportunities after that point, because there's always something that presents itself and you think, goodness me, that makes sense, we need to move on that. So yeah, ideally you want everybody in the building ready to go first day of pre-season, but the reality is probably a little bit far away from that. So there's always our understanding that things will develop, sometimes positively, sometimes negatively. You have to be ready for that as well. If somebody obviously that you're pursuing for quite some time, all of a sudden it falls at the last spot in the deal, so you've got to pick yourself up and go again. So you won't get everybody that you covet, but if you do your groundwork and you put the work in terms of obviously presenting what we can offer you, then we feel confident that we'll get most of them over the line.
Just looking back since you've come into the club, what have you and Glyn, so to speak, have learned since coming into Bradford City about this level and about this club?
You've heard me talk about it before. I've been really surprised and pleasantly surprised by the level and the quality of player that there is at this level. I think it's encouraging for me because I know there's talent that we can try and attract here. We've got talent in the building already, and we'll try and go some to try and keep that talent. Obviously we'll be attractive to other clubs, and we want to get those deals done quickly if we can. We may well lose a number of players that ideally we'd like to keep, but that's how it is, and we have to accept that. But there is talent out there, and it's up to us to make sure we get the right mix.
And this club going into a pre-season, even more so with yourself here, they're going to be talked about as one of the favourites. Is that the pressure you thrive on?
Yeah, that doesn't faze me whatsoever. That's the expectation. I don't think anybody will deny that. People will be watching what we're doing and how we're performing and what we're able to achieve this year, and we'll be judged on that. So that's not a problem for me. That's always been the case. Expectation goes hand in hand with the job. Some jobs you can underplay your ability or your capacity to be successful and overachieve in people's eyes, but you can't pull the wool over people's eyes when they know you've got potential to get out of the league or be successful in cups or whatever. So that's why I've always run with expectation, and people want to be told that we've got a real chance and get excited by that thought and not underplay your chances. I think people don't want to hear that we're just looking to be a team that's comfortable and not at risk of going out of the league. People don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. So that's not what they're going to hear.
And with that, you know, Saturday coming around, a win that's ending the season with 3 consecutive wins. How much emphasis do you put on ending the season as strongly as possible to take?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think, yeah, that just last game of the season when it's a huge crowd here, and people want to be obviously happy with the thought of, well, actually next year, on the basis of what we're seeing towards the end of the season, we can have a real go. So yeah, we want to finish on a high. Everybody does. The last home game of the season is always a game you want to perform well in and give people good feelings about what's ahead. So that's our intention.
And as well with this game at Valley Parade this weekend, it's always an important day for the club, not for the footballing reasons, but off the pitch as well.
Yeah, that's right. And everybody involved in the club is aware of the significance of the dates around this time, and yeah, we've been obviously made aware of that. The club chaplain's been in early, and any of the guys that weren't aware of that day obviously now know of the significance of it and the events of that terrible day. So I think that has resonated with everybody in the recent days, and we know that we represent the city and the football club, and we'll never not recognise that, and we'll always be aware of that. So it's an important time for everybody.
And just lastly as well, just going into the getting back on the footballing side, so we as we were with injuries and team news.
Yeah, we Liam's unfortunately going to miss out. He's got a slight problem with his groin, which needs an operation. So we're going to get it done early. We could have waited a week. He could have played. Clearly, he's fit enough to play, but that week we'll just give him a little bit extra time to come back fit and well, raring to go first day of pre-season. So we thought it was better to get it done as early as we can. So he's going to miss out. Apart from that, the squad that was involved or available last weekend, they're all available.
And I take it with Abo Issa, it's kind of actually where you don't really want to risk him seeing.
Yeah, I'll make a decision on Abo just nearer the time. I've been having conversations with him the last couple of weeks in terms of where he feels he's at. We're not going to put him at risk if we feel there's any consequence of involving. But it would be nice maybe for his own mental strength in terms of facing the season next year, that he's over the hurdle of getting back to play, and that's been put to bed, so that he can face the new season with everything clear in his mind that he's fit and raring to go. So he's very, very close. It's just we need just to maybe expose him to it. But that decision will be nearer the time of kick-off and after conversations I've had with him.
Great stuff.
Okay.
Saturday.
Okay, thanks.
Obviously last week you mentioned how important momentum was.
Yeah.
Do you think that the result against Scunthorpe and the fact that you held on for the 2-1 win led to what happened at Sutton, that you believe there was a belief there amongst the players that
Yeah,
even when Sutton equalised, you could go on?
We
and
were quite
score?
comfortable against Scunthorpe. We weren't great in the second half, but we never felt the risk of losing it. But sometimes, obviously, when it takes a second to score a goal, so it can happen. But the importance of the win was the key thing. And yeah, you're probably right that it did feed into the Sutton game. I thought we were confident, showed confidence right from the off, recognised what we needed to do. But face up to the challenge of Sutton, we were very direct, and you can see why they've had the season they've had, because it is difficult to play against, and you have to stand up to the challenge and wrestle control of the game away from those type of teams that are direct and have that physicality that will affect you if you allow it to. So I thought we dealt with that really, really well, and as the game went on, the more control we got once we got through those periods when, as an away team, you expect to come under a little bit of pressure, but we saw those periods through and finished the game quite comfortably.
And just going back to the anniversary, at the time you'd have been a young player at United. Do you have any memories of it?
I remember the day, not vividly. Clearly, it was one of those times in your life that you remember the significance of it. But Ollie the chaplain actually made the point that sometimes it is the forgotten disaster, wrongly clearly, because it was such a traumatic day for everybody connected with Bradford and the surrounding area, and yeah, it's unbelievable. I think it's 37 years now, when that amount of time was mentioned. I couldn't believe it was that so long ago, because events like that are quite vivid in your mind.
Thank you very much.
So obviously, Mark, going into this last game, I mean, you've had this sort of 14, 13 games, and you said before you came in it'd be invaluable in terms of what you can learn. And for the players' point of view, players are going to be there next year. They've got to learn how you and Glyn work and the style of football you want to play. I mean, how much of an advantage is that when you go back for pre-season?
Yeah, well, I think the fundamentals are going to be there. We're going to have a core group, obviously, that have worked with us right from the start, and obviously will be with us next year. And that work that we've done with them will hopefully will be filtered to the guys that are new to what we're about, and that happens very quickly. It's just about standards and the level at which we train and play at, and and players have to get up very quickly if it's at a level that they're not quite used to. We're hoping that we're going to get guys in the building that are used to training at a high level, and that's their expectation, because that will obviously raise the level of the group to another level. So that's important for us. But no, we've myself and Glenn have talked about on numerous occasions about how important this time is for us to really understand what we've been working with and what we need to do in the summer break to get the recruitment right. So if we were coming in maybe now at the end of the season and the change was made now, we wouldn't have had that knowledge base, obviously, clearly. Working with somebody is a lot more insightful than actually watching a tape or a video. Until you actually work with guys, you don't quite know what you've actually got, but we've had the benefit of that work with the guys, and that's enabled us, we hope, to make right decisions on the majority of them.
Speaking to one of the players the other week, he was sort of saying about how it takes time to adapt, not just to different managers, but different style of football, different approach, and how advantageous this is in terms of, he said, now we're going to go into the summer and we know when we come back.
Yeah,
we know how this team will operate.
Yeah, it's not cliche. You want to hit the ground running, and that's what we will endeavour to do. I think that's really important. We need to have a really good start if we can. I think that will encourage everybody to really get on board, and let's see where it takes us. It's exciting times. I think everybody's got a lot of anticipation about what's ahead, and not least me, because I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, we've got a lot to look forward to, we feel.
You're saying about the challenges and that, and obviously the spotlight and the pressure. I mean, for yourself, obviously you're going to be judged from minute one now. Is that something you're going to enjoy, in the sense of you're sort of relishing the fact that everyone will say, right, this is Mark Hughes' team now, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a given. It's tension and expectations, some of that I've dealt with for all my professional life, if I'm honest. I've been doing this job either in a playing capacity or a management capacity for nigh on, 40 odd years. So the vast majority of the time people want to know what I was up to, or some wanted me to succeed. Quite a few didn't want me to succeed and fail and fall flat on my face, but that's never changed. So you grow rather a thick skin, if I'm honest, and it doesn't faze me. Criticism will come if it's deserved, and if it's not deserved, it'll still come your way. So you don't get upset about it. Just work your way through it. If you win games and you're playing well and the club is thriving, then any negativity goes away anyway. So just try and win football matches.
And in terms of pre-season, I mean, your plans in terms of the fixtures and what have you, how far down the line are you with that one?
Yeah, very close to being finalised. We're looking to get away for a week's training camp. We've had a few problems with that. A couple of double bookings, I think, and we might have to revisit that. But the intention is at some point during the 5 to 6 week pre-season period that we'll go away for a week and get some real good work in, and then we'll be ready for pre-season games and ready for the season when it begins.
And how many sort of games are you looking at ideally?
Probably 5 to 6, and maybe if we feel we need an extra one, we can always pop an extra game in maybe in the latter weeks, just if guys need to get more minutes under their belt. So there's the option there on a couple of dates that we can do that.
Because it's obviously the season starting a week earlier as well. Is that, in terms of logistics, is that involved?
No, you just
moved it one.
You just move them across. The actual pre-season period is pretty much set in stone already.
And very briefly about the game weekend. I mean, Carlisle themselves, they've had a fantastic one to pull themselves out of trouble. I mean, Paul Simpson went in there when they were second bottom and hadn't won in nearly 2 months. And
yeah, Paul's got great experience. I know Paul from way back as a player and as a coach, and he's done a great job. Always does a good job wherever he goes. A number of his players, I think, have got a little bit of playing history here as well. So they'll be coming back, hoping to show that maybe they shouldn't have left the club. So that's always interesting when clubs return to former clubs. So we'll have to be wary of that. But we're just hoping that it's going to be a good game, celebration of what maybe is ahead for us next year.
Of the former players, I don't know if you remain aware, obviously there was a little bit of celebration in the game up there when Carlisle won. They certainly milked the moment, I think, surprised.
All right. I'll acquaint myself with that.
And Paul Simpson, obviously, as a player, he could hit a free kick, couldn't he? He was a good player.
Yeah, he was a good player. Yeah, he's had a great career in the game. Obviously, he's had a lot of longevity, and like myself, we have longevity in the game. It's an illustration that people think that you can do a good job for their club, and he certainly, whenever he's gone in, he's really done a good job. So be good to see him. I haven't seen him for quite some time.
They're one of those clubs, a very traditional club that potentially, again, talk of potential, but they should be doing a lot better than they are. And there are some big visions for next season. Yeah,
there's any number of clubs that have a similar story, and you think for whatever reason they find themselves in League Two or in a league where people feel that they shouldn't be. But there's plenty of examples of that. Hold on.
I've got a few. My name's Anna, by the way.
Hi.
I was wondering, for the match against Carlisle, is there anything you're particularly focusing on, any little tweaks or anything at the burn of your mind ahead of the match?
Not to any great extent. Obviously, we're on the back of a 4-1 win, so we'd like to continue in the same vein, because I thought we finished the game really, really strongly, and we actually got to a point where we could say to ourselves, well, actually, that's somewhere near the level that we'll need to be at week in, week out next season. So to have been able to do that in this season, I think that's a good marker for us, for the guys that obviously will come with us on the journey next year. It's a good marker for us to understand what we have to hit in terms of levels and performance. So if we can obviously hit those levels again, and with the idea of actually surpassing them, then that's going to be a good day in the office.
And I love what you said earlier about getting to know the team since you've taken over, and about the surprises you've had, especially about the talent within. So do you feel like you fully know the team to have that running start, like you said at the beginning of the season, or do you think there's any more surprises to come?
Yeah, you never say never. If you assume too much in football, then usually you assume wrongly, because that will catch you out. I think your assumptions are quite dangerous. I think you've just got to understand the game itself and the individuals involved, and we've had a window of insight that's going to help us. That's all there is. But teams, players, groups of players together can always surprise you. So we'll see. But they've been a pleasure to work with, I have to say. Some obviously won't be with us next year, but their contributions very much valued as well. Everybody had a real goal in terms of trying to embrace what we were about and what we were trying to do from the first day, and credit to them. Some won't be with us next year, but that will always be appreciated by myself and Glenn, because everybody put a real shift in.